Welcome to Hoovies Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube, and today I am getting rid of two of the cars in my hoopty fleet. One of them is right here and another one is off over there. But first, I'm really excited to announce that Hummer is back. Much like Hollywood that is remaking everything rather than coming up with a whole new brand or original idea, General Motors is doing the exact same thing with Hummer, except they're expert level trolling here because this formerly gas-guzzling symbol of American excess is being brought back as a fully electric brand, a small pickup truck branded Hummer. It's hilarious, and as an owner of one of these gas-guzzling dinosaurs, I 100% approve bringing back Hummer as an electric car with a few reservations, but I think there's also an opportunity to bring back another extinct General Motors product, the GMC Typhoon. Now, GM has announced that they're bringing back Hummer as an all-electric brand by 2022 with LeBron James, of all people, as their spokesperson. Why they didn't ask me, I don't know, because I am a big fan of Hummers. But unlike my 2003 H2 with a 6-liter Vortec V8 under the hood getting all of 11 miles per gallon, Hummer will come back as a small pickup truck that is completely electrified. And rather than reopening a chain of Hummer dealerships all across the nation, they're going to bring Hummer back into the fold of the GMC products. So the GMC Sierra, Yukon XL Denali will also sell Hummers, which makes things a lot easier. And I imagine bringing back the Hummer won't be that hard because this design has aged very well. I also have a Jeep Gladiator outside, which looks a lot like the old Hummer little pickup truck they had before, the H3T. So you really don't have to do too much to modernize that and make it into a small Hummer pickup truck. Personally, I have nothing against electric cars, and I would have no problem trading this Hummer in towards a new electrified Hummer, but I do have some worries about the truck part with electric cars. And to explain, let's go for a drive in my Humvee, which has a dead battery. Well, this is embarrassing. I have to jump it off. My Gladiator. And the Hummer hood is kind of a pain for jump starts. Oh! I can't even fit through there. Can't fit through the back either. There. Okay. There we go. Well, there went all my daylight trying to get this thing jumped, and it's a horrible way to advertise that I am selling this Hummer H2. It can be yours for only $6,500, and the reason why the battery's dead is because it's been sitting for the last couple of months outside in the cold, and it killed the old battery, so I'll have the battery replaced. But I'm selling this car not because I don't love it. I love this thing, but I found something even more ridiculous, even bigger than this thing to replace it with. It gets worse miles per gallon too, which is hard to believe. The Hummer brand is known for this, for its terrible gas mileage, but also some of its off-road credibility. The wheels are so far in the front of this thing, so the approach and departure angles are good. It's lifted up in the air with big knobby off-road tires, and none of those qualities will apply to an electric vehicle very well because you have rolling resistance to deal with these big knobby tires. And then the aerodynamics, well, this thing is not aerodynamic. If you're going with the same rough kind of shape and design as the original Hummer and the Hummer H2 and the H3, well, then you're going to be driving a giant brick, a giant sail that is not going to be very aerodynamic. So I am concerned about the range. A perfect example of this range anxiety still existing with the public is the Porsche Taycan, which is reported to have a range of less than 200 miles, and everybody freaked out about it. That's way less than any other electric car, and the Taycan is a very expensive vehicle, so it's turning off a lot of folks. If you do the same thing with a Hummer, make a Hummer pickup truck that only gets 200 miles of range because it's a big blocky off-roader, well, then I doubt you're going to find too many buyers. The other issue with a Hummer or a pickup truck or anything that hauls payload that's electric, the range is greatly diminished. A Tesla Model X can haul a car trailer or a boat, but its range is greatly diminished by half or more when you haul something heavy or haul a heavy payload, and that's a big obstacle to overcome with a pickup truck where you want to haul things and tow things. So I'm all for the idea of an electric Hummer, but I'm wondering how you're going to overcome these seemingly seemingly impossible obstacles to make something that people are actually going to want to buy. Now this brings me back to my Typhoon, because I think that car could be easily adapted to an electric vehicle and be something that would really make some headlines. Now, for those not familiar with my 1992 GMC Typhoon, I made a video series about it, picked it up in Monterey about 6 months ago, and I absolutely love this thing. It's based on the GMC Jimmy, or the Chevy S10 Blazer, and it is a lowered version of a GMC Jimmy with a very attractive aerodynamic body kit here. Alloy wheels. I think this thing is beautiful, but it wasn't just cosmetic changes. Under the hood is a giant turbocharger on the 4.3 liter V6, which made this thing an absolute rocket ship. It made headlines in the 90s as being one of the fastest cars in production at the time. This thing could beat Ferraris and Lamborghinis in a drag race. They even went a little further and did a full-time all-wheel drive system that maximized traction so this thing can launch really hard off the line. It almost feels like launch control, and it drives like nothing else I've ever owned. This Typhoon is just totally crazy, but it wasn't the best seller in the 90s, sadly. Still, as the years have gone by, the decades have passed, this thing has sort of become a legend, and it is very collectible now. And I think the Typhoon is the perfect vehicle to make a comeback as an electric car. Hear me out on this. Imagine an SUV about this size with this low, sleek look with a focus on aerodynamics as a completely electric vehicle. The 0 to 60 is under 3 seconds, which would smash a lot of supercars' time because it has an all-wheel drive electric drivetrain. And it did it in wild colors like this with the latest technology. I think it would be a smash hit and be on the front page of every magazine again. I really think people would actually buy it. It could even be built on the same platform as the electric Hummer truck, except obviously a lower, sleeker, sporty version, so I don't think range would be an issue because you could get a lot out of this car if it has a lower rolling resistance on the tires and more aero kit. But like a Tesla, you could have an insane mode and absolutely massive acceleration, which this thing already has in 1992. So let's go for a drive and I'll give my final thought on this. Unlike the Hummer, this Typhoon actually started, but it's been sitting warm in the garage for roughly the same amount of time as the Hummer, so it's not really the Hummer's fault, but this thing still has broken a little bit, the muffler. Something inside has come loose to where it rattles pretty badly when it's warmed up and idling at a stoplight. Kind of embarrassing, but it's a hoopty. Still, this thing loves the cold weather because the turbo spools right up. Oh, man. That oomph off the line is just ridiculous. It feels almost like an electric car, and this would make an excellent electric vehicle. Unfortunately, General Motors hasn't hired me as a paid consultant yet, so it's probably not going to happen, but at least a guy can dream. But still, this is an attainable dream. I really think this isn't my worst idea by far, but that's not saying much because I've had a lot of bad ideas over the years. And speaking of bad ideas, I'm getting rid of one other vehicle, even though it's one of my best cars. So I've made a lot of really dumb purchases lately, some dumb and very expensive purchases, which means I'm out of money, so I need to sell one of my nice cars. And both of these I've owned for about a year. On my left is my 2002 Porsche 911 Turbo, and on my right is my 1998 Aston Martin DB7. I love both of these cars to death, but one of them I have sold. Now the Porsche I really haven't had back all that long, since having it rewrapped again in Gulf Blue, and earlier last year having the engine taken out completely to address the coolant line issue. But before that disaster on the track happened, this thing was an absolute rock star. I drove it nearly every day. Now I really don't understand why anyone would want a newer 911 Turbo than this. The 997 Turbo or the later 991 Turbos are way more expensive, and they offer pretty much the same, or obviously the 991 has a lot more performance. But the 6-speed manual transmission goes away, and this one is dialed in perfectly. It has the suspension tuned and lowered and aligned to perfection. The brakes are upgraded, and the clutch has been fixed, upgraded with the newer GT3, GT2 style clutch that doesn't have the weird hydraulic assist, and it feels great. The gearbox is incredible. The turbos spool up. This thing is so fast and fun and powerful, and it is very, very comfortable inside. My daughter fits in the back seat, and the leather is really soft, and I personally like the little wood accents that this one comes with, which is pretty rare on a 911 Turbo. I'm trying really hard to find something that I don't like about this 911 Turbo, but really nothing is coming to mind. This is as close to perfection as I've ever gotten in an automobile, and the same cannot be said for my DB7. It has a weird old style clutch, and the interior ergonomically is super strange. I barely fit in it, and the seats kind of grab me in a weird spot, although the leather interior does smell absolutely amazing and feels really nice. It's leather and suede everywhere. Additionally, the suspension, this is much more of a touring car. There's nothing sporty about it really at all. The brakes don't feel sporty, and under the hood is a Jaguar engine, an inline 6 with a supercharger that has 335 horsepower. Not bad for the time, but not nearly as fast as this. But still, something about this old Aston, it's just really special. Other than being British racing green, it's green, and I love the styling of the DB7. This car is also very special because it feels like an old, proper British sports car. Something that I could never find for less than what I paid for this, $25,007. And surprisingly, over the past year, I spent a little money on it, fixing it in the very beginning, but then otherwise, it has been very reliable for me. It started every time, it's not really leaking, it just works. Plus, this is much rarer. I've never seen another one in Wichita, Kansas, the DB7 period, and I very rarely see another DB7 with a manual transmission pop up for sale, so this is a super rare car. If I sold it, I would never be able to replace it. So you can kind of see where I'm going here, and if I hadn't bought myself into a lot of debt, I wouldn't be doing this, but since I have to choose one car to sell, it is going to be the 911 Turbo. I'm sure I'll regret it, but if I did, then I could just go find another one. But I probably won't do that because the 911 Turbo is perfect for the person who has room for one extra fun toy or really just wants a daily driver fun toy. It's great for the track, it's great for daily driving, it's great for just about any purpose, but since I'm in this fortunate position to have all of these cars, I can have the best touring car, I can have the best track car, I can have the best cruiser. I really don't need an all-in-one potent weapon like this. So I've sold this 911 Turbo and bought something much worse. And I'm keeping a car that in every measurable fashion is way worse than this 911 Turbo, but I've never been one to make the right decision or the smart decision. That's not what I built this YouTube channel on. I've really done stepped in it. So if you are a fan of my bad decisions, be sure to like this video and leave a comment affirming my decision. Or if you're mad at me, you can leave a comment as well telling me how dumb I am. That still helps me as well. And if you really want to help me from having more issues with my Hoovies, especially dead batteries, I've hooked up the subscribe button to a trickle charger. So every time you hit the subscribe button, it helps charge one of the batteries in my Hoovies. So please hit that button and help a Hoovie. Thank you for watching.